This is DJ New. The most interesting DJ in the world.
Weddings. Music. And wine. With New.
This is DJ New. The most interesting DJ in the world.
Weddings, Music, and Wine with New was on location this weekend, checking out the Woodinville Hollywood District in Wine Country, Washington. I visited 3 top wine tasting venues in the area. Started at Maryhill Winery, amazing and awesome staff, by the way, and shout out to all of them for their services while I was there. And this is where I was able to talk with and got educated in all things wine with the wine connoisseur himself, Mr. Colin, the tasting manager there. I then popped over to Milbrandt Vineyards right across the way and was able to have a little combo with Brian, the tasting manager with style and grace himself. Love the pink pants, by the way, brother. And the whole ensemble he put together made me feel jealous that my outfit wasn't as awesome as his. But loved the establishment, and the staff there was phenomenal as well. He also recommended WT Vintners for my last stop, where I talked with some amazing ladies, Miss Kim, Miss Jill, and the main lady, Miss Cheryl. which was hella nice and informative themselves and just lovely and amazing people all around. So sit back, get acquainted with these amazing establishments and folks, along with getting some education in your life with a new edition of Weddings, Music, and Wine with New, with my first mini wine tour in Woodinville, Washington at the Hollywood District Wine Country. Listen in to episode 3 along with the others on Spreaker.com, Iheartradio, Spotify, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, Jiosavvan, the largest Indian streaming service in the world, and all other major streaming platforms. Also, let's go.
This is DJ New, the most interesting DJ in the world.
I don't have too much sweet wine going on, so we'll definitely have to play with a little bit more of that kind of tropical and crisp fruit going on right now.
Good deal.
So this is our Pinot Gris. We make over 15 different whites in the portfolio, which is pretty rare. You don't have a lot of people focusing that much on white wine. It's not really where the major market is. But we make over 65 different wines here in Maryhill. So as far as I know, at least from what I've seen, we're one of the kind of broadest portfolios that I've seen in North America, really. I mean, you can take, even with like Gallo, you can take a lot of different brands that add them together. But it would take multiple of them to build up to the kind of breadth of portfolio that we showcase here at Maryhill. We do that all with one winemaker and one winemaking team, which is pretty impressive, to be honest. We do 3 different styles, I guess you could say, and that's really, I think, what sets us apart. We're really focused stylistically on how we're producing the wine. So this is part of what is called the Classic series. All the classic wines are kind of right behind you right here. The classics really kind of focus on taking a look at where the grape comes from, how it's traditionally produced, what are the characteristics that you would traditionally find out of the region that it comes from, and we try to be a little bit more true to form to that. So this is the brand new 2021 Pinot Gris. We're all super excited about it because finally we have 70-degree and sunny days here, which has not been showcasing itself, but you like that kind of a little bit lighter. It's got some pear and tropical notes to it. I love how clean and crisp the acidity is. This is like screams for summertime drinking. Absolutely,
it's really good. Talk a little bit louder. I got you. I mean, it's going right now.
You're recording now. Awesome.
I'm glad you was able to talk though. But this is new with Weddings, Music, and Wine. I'm here with Colin at the Maryhill. Is that where we're at?
That's where you're at, brother.
Maryhill up here in Woodinville. So we got him talking right now, and you are
I'm the manager here.
The tasting room manager here in Maryhill Winery. Like I said, Weddings, Music, and Wine. Follow us on Spreaker.com, also on Iheartradio, Spotify, and all major streaming services. So give us a little bit more about the wine, brother. Just talk into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that separates us here at Maryhill is going to be the fact that we don't own any of our own vineyards.
Okay.
You've got Washington, kind of the, I guess, up-and-coming area. We've already hit a lot of, mile markers as a Washington wine industry. But what separates us, Maryhill, is that we kind of view ourselves as almost a visitor center for the Washington agricultural area. We don't own any of our own vineyards, and so because of that, we actually focus on going anywhere in Washington State and Columbia Valley to where the grapes actually grow best, rather than forcing to put them on our property and say, you're going to grow great here. We focus on where they grow best. We also get to focus on the families and the growers in Washington State that have been doing it the longest. We get to choose what growers we want to work with. We work with over 15 single vineyard growers throughout the state, so we're huge proponents of the agricultural side of it as well. So I think, I come from California. I did 10 years in Sonoma County wine country.
I just did it. I actually had a show literally just yesterday. It was the Chateau St. John from Sonoma. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Sonoma Valley. I know them well. They're OG down there. They're one of the ones that were the big proponents of Sonoma Valley. There's a couple of them, and they're one of the originals that are down in that area. I just watched Bottle Shock last night too, so I was learning about Napa Valley too. But, I think Washington's got a lot going for it. The area, especially the climate for growing wine,
She was telling me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it moves further north every year, and personally, I think Napa's getting a little bit too hot for what they want to do. It's kind of prime time. You can already see the changes in the seasons every year up here. A little bit hotter, more extended summertime. You get a lot of heat on the eastern side the state, and the grapes love that.
Yeah.
There's so much soil diversity over there as well. We're also sit on the same parallel that some of the best growing regions in the world do. I mean, we're on the exact same parallel as the Rhone Valley in France, and Bordeaux is only a couple degrees north of where we sit. So we kind of play with the same climate. So growing the top varietals that grow here in Washington are either from Bordeaux or from the Rhone Valley area. So we get to play with a lot of that same climate influence. The other big thing that goes for Washington State is the Puget Sound. You've got what's called a rain shadow effect. So the Olympic Peninsula is one of the wettest places in the country. All the water that comes in off the Pacific Ocean, all the clouds come over the mountains there, and they just dump everything. Anything that's remaining makes its way over the Puget Sound and over Seattle, hits the Cascade Range right here, and dumps the rest of it. Yeah. And then by the time it gets over to eastern Washington, it's got very little moisture left. So the rain shadow effect makes for a super dry and arid area out kind of the plains and highlands of eastern Washington, which is great for us because we like to stress the vines out a little bit more. We don't want them watered down and bogged down. How's this one tasting for you?
This is actually really good, man. And you guys are hearing all this information. He's giving way more information than I could ever give you guys.
You'll get there, brother. You'll get there.
But yes, like I said, follow us on Spotify, Spreaker.com. Also, this is Wedding, Music, and Wine. We're in the Maryhill Winery with Colin, the tasting room manager, doing our wine tour this weekend. So you guys listen in for our next winery that I'll be stepping into. But Colin has been so gracious to give us, what kind of wine is this, brother?
That's our Pinot Gris 2021. We just released it last weekend.
Pinot Gris, they just released it last weekend. Check out the Maryhill Winery here in Woodinville, please. Thank you, whoever is listening in Washington areas.
So you said you like a little bit more sweet wine?
I do.
Let's see what I got open for you. We'll play around with it.
Let's play around with it.
It's going to have to be a reward, though. You're not going to be able to taste anything after we do this.
All right, Colin, what's this one?
We're going to do a little side-by-side, so finish that little bit you got left right there.
All right.
So we do 2 Chardonnays here. One of the fun things we got to do as a team before we did this tasting, we actually change our flight every month. So the first Monday of every month, we switch to a brand new flight of 7 wines. We actually do 7 wines on our standard flight. We do that all for $25, which is a great value in the area. And then with a $30 wine purchase, people get the tasting fee taken care of. So $5 more, take something from you love, let the tasting be on us. What we've got on your left-hand side, which you have in your hand right there, brother, is going to be my classic Chardonnay.
Okay.
And then we have right next to it the Reserve Chardonnay. So again, playing around with kind of stylistic approaches. Chardonnay comes from the Burgundy region in France. They do a much cleaner version of Chardonnay than I think a lot of people are used to. People tend to rope Chardonnay all into being big, buttery, and oaky. Yeah. But that's because that's what we're exposed to here in the New World. We get a lot of California influence, and that's definitely what Napa started with. Yeah. So this is definitely more of a Chablis or French Burgundian style. A lot cleaner. We do this in stainless steel barrels, and then we put oak staves into it, so it gets a little touch of oak, but not enough to kind of threaten the acidity of it. Right next to it, you've got a Reserve Chard. That's right. Our Reserve portfolio all focuses kind of on the opposite of the classic portfolio. It's not so much about how it should taste or how it's supposed to traditionally taste. This is about what our winemakers want to showcase. And our winemaker, Richard, he's originally from New Zealand. He worked with a phenomenal vineyard in Napa called Hall Vineyards, and he kind of worked hard on their Chardonnay and Cabernet program. They have some phenomenal wines down there. If you're ever in the Napa Valley, definitely book a tasting with them because they're one of my favorite spots. But you can definitely taste the influence from Napa Valley. This is all done in brand new French oak barrels. You get more of that caramelized toasted oak. You get a little bit more of that kind of fresh baked brioche note going onto it. You still get a good amount of citrus, a little bit of tropical twist to it, but for the most part, you're seeing, I mean, even in the color, you're seeing how clear this first one is, and you get this almost golden haze straw color in the other one that's coming from the oak